Good morning. The IOC votes in favor of allowing hosts to hold the games in more than one country, fueling speculation on the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games. Fighting corruption and increasing transparency, we get a look at what's being done on this International Anti-Corruption Day. A disease of modern society dubbed the burnout syndrome. How do you keep the fire burning strong? And accessible destinations for that weekend winter getaway. Hit the slopes and relax to the max on Korea Today, Tuesday, December 9th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good morning. Welcome to Korea Today on a Tuesday morning. I'm Kim In-jung with Kim Young and Jin-ju. Tis the season to be jolly and tis the season to wear long johns. Are you wearing long johns?
You know, the thing is that I gained a few pounds a little while back. So what happens is when you wear those long johns, it makes everything else feel a little bit tighter. So I gotta shed those pounds. Right?
And a special campaign encouraging people to wear these long johns has started in 10 local governments. And according to the Environment Ministry, wearing long johns will increase your body temperature by an average of 2.4 degrees.
That's right. And wearing the thermal underwear could feel a little tacky at times, let's face it. But, you know, these days, they come in nice designs, so you could look sexy in long johns, so go for it.
All right, it's just until you get to like a dressing room and you expose those long johns that people start laughing, right?
No one has to see it, though.
Nope. So this winter, 20 degrees is the key to keep your room temperature at. Set the heaters to that. And we jump to our top story for this morning. The International Olympic Committee approved a reform package which includes allowing hosts to stage some Olympic events in other cities as well as other countries. In Monaco on Monday, the IOC voted unanimously in favor of the move, allowing the Summer or Winter Olympic Games to take place in more than one country, notably for the reasons of geography and high costs involved. The decision fuels speculation regarding the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics, with sources saying talks are being held to move some competitions to Japan. IOC President Thomas Bach did not rule out such a move, adding that any changes would be made after discussions with the host. However, the Gangwon-do provincial government, where Pyeongchang is located, opposed the idea, saying preparations are already fully underway.
Seoul and Beijing are set to kick off a joint patrol operation in their shared fishing zone in the West Sea in a bid to crack down on illegal fishing activities. Korea's Oceans and Fisheries Ministry said on Monday the two countries will dispatch one vessel each to start a week-long inspection from Tuesday in the waters where exclusive economic zones of South Korea and China overlap. The patrol team will crack down on illegal fishing boats from their respective countries and have agreed to notify each other of how they were handled. The joint patrol was agreed upon during a summit meeting last year, as Korea's efforts alone to clamp down on illegal fishing by Chinese boats have often ended in violent clashes, becoming a source of tension between the two countries. According to a ministry report, an estimated 2,000 Chinese fishing boats operate illegally in the shared fishing zones.
Today, December 9th, is International Anti-Corruption Day designated by the United Nations. And around this time of the year, an NGO called Transparency International releases its Corruption Perception Index on countries around the world. This year, out of 175 nations in total, Denmark topped the list as the least corrupt country, followed by New Zealand, while South Korea ranked 43rd and China 100th. North Korea and Somalia came in as the most corrupt countries in the world. Now, although Seoul has a long way to go in climbing up the list, it is making various efforts to fight corruption in public and private sectors. Take a look.
최근 잇따라 제기된 방산 군납 비리와 같은 예산 집행 과정의 불법 행위는 안보에 누수를 가져오는 이적 행위로 규정하고 일벌백계 차원에서 강력히 척결해서 그 뿌리를 뽑을 것입니다.
The Korean government has rolled up its sleeves to eradicate corrupt practices that have long existed in society. To stamp out corruption, the government has introduced special surveillance teams to fight against corruption in both public and private sectors.
There are limitations when it comes to conducting national defense inspections just using the Board of Audit and Inspection, or carrying out an investigation on multiple organizations individually. So we launched a special investigation team for the defense industry by bringing together forces from all parts of the government.
In July, the government launched an anti-corruption task force involving 12 institutes, including the Ministry of Justice, National Police Agency, and the Ministry of Strategy and Finance. Following this, it even launched the Ministry of Personnel Management in order to eradicate corruption among public officials.
Identifying the right talent and applying stricter rules on hiring retired government officials, we must step up our efforts to root out collusion between bureaucrats and the private sector.
Last Wednesday, a two-day international forum also kicked off as part of the country's efforts to root out corruption nationwide. Hosted by the Korean Institute of Criminology, the forum was held to bring about ethical reform in public sector and promote the need of collaboration between public and private sectors in eradicating corruption. The three key themes addressed at the forum were strengthening legal enforcement in the public sector, spreading the culture of transparency in private sector, and devising anti-corruption policies. One of the central points emphasized at the forum was that combating corruption is not a social problem unique to Korea. Rather, it's a global issue that requires collaboration among the government, businesses, and individuals.
There are two objectives here. One is to satisfy the international community that you are doing what you say you're doing, and the other is to deal with a range of economic and social problems, which includes private-to-private corruption as well as private-to-public.
Experts say that empowering government bodies with judicial power can also help weed out corruption. Most importantly, for a country to achieve transparency, it's not only the government, but also businesses and individuals that need to have a strong sense of ethics and transparency.
The most important single thing any of us can do to attack corruption is to have a clean, competent public service with people who are dedicated to making the system work. No government can be better than its public servants. And I've seen that all over the world. You can have good politicians, no public service, you can't accomplish anything, and you certainly can't attack corruption.
As today marks International Anti-Corruption Day, Korea's Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission has designated December 1st to 12th as weeks of anti-corruption. What's most important is for these campaigns to not turn into a one-time event, but become a starting point to put words into action.
But to hold regular discussions in this matter and to implement.
Then what are some of the global standards when it comes to evaluating transparency, and how can a country work towards becoming corruption-free? Well, Denmark has topped the list in terms of transparency this year, and today we have Danish Ambassador to Korea, Thomas Lehmann, joining us here in the studio to further discuss the issue. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Now, Denmark has been chosen as the least corrupt country this year. What kind of efforts has the Danish government been making over the decades or perhaps centuries to get Denmark where it stands now?
Well, let me just begin by saying that corruption is a universal and a timeless problem. It's a question about greed and selfishness. We see that in many countries. Now, Denmark has been fortunate to be topping the list for 3 years in a row now, and I think there are three explanations for that. First of all, we have a long history of zero tolerance, combined with a generous welfare system, and these two measures has made it minimal for people to actually involve themselves in corruptive measures. Then we also have quite tough and good checks and balance systems. We have controls whereby you can actually make sure that corruption do not take place. Agencies being able to look into the accounts of government agencies. And then I think also very important, we have a high level of trust in our society, a high level of transparency. People trust each other. And that's very important also when you talk about corruption and preventing the incentives for corruption.
And I also heard that you took part in the Anti-Corruption Forum, which was held in Seoul last week. In your own perspective, do you think Korea is going in the right direction when it comes to rooting out corruption in the country?
I do actually, yes. I was very impressed by the amount of political will behind the drive to fight and combat corruption. It's quite obvious to me that this is a major political priority for the Korean government. You have institutions, you have legislation in place, so the basic structures are there. Now it's a question of also driving the will of the people to make sure that you can actually fight corruption. This will take time. It's not something you do overnight, but you have the fundamentals in place, and I'm quite sure that Korea will also deliver on this agenda.
And in what areas do you think Korea and Denmark could cooperate more to help Korea root out corruption in the future and in other areas perhaps?
I think it's very important that the countries share best practices. They look at each other, what has worked, what has not worked. And this is an area where Korea and Denmark can work together. I think it's also important that we share our stories in multilateral fora, that we work together in the OECD, in the World Bank. Also because when we fight corruption, we don't only do it in our own countries, but we also want to push our agenda in other countries, like in the developing world. This is a big issue, and for a development perspective, fighting corruption is also very important. So I think we have good ways of working together closely on that as well.
All right. Thank you, Ambassador Lehman, for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers now. Let's start with news on the economy this morning. The tumbling Japanese yen continues to affect nearby economies as the yen held losses after posting its steepest daily decline in a month yesterday. Let's take a look at this story on Joseonilbo. And the headline says, no brakes on the yen, financial markets sway. If we take a look at the sub-headlines below, the headline here, at one point, the won-yen exchange rate stood at 919.77 at its lowest in 6 years and 9 months' time yesterday. And Korean currency authorities are increasingly concerned over the yen's fast slide, which could undercut Korean exporters' competitiveness in overseas markets. Now, Korean stocks also closed 0.39% lower yesterday as a stronger U.S. dollar backed by upbeat job data further pushed down the Japanese yen, causing the Korean won to drop against the greenback as well. Meanwhile, the benchmark Shanghai Composite Index topped the 3,000 mark with the recent influx of capital. Mainland China's share market closed at a new 43-month high. Now switching gears to a different headline on JoongAngIlbo. This one is regarding the so-called Lee Young-gae collection. And the title says 109 pieces of national treasure from Lee Young-gae collection kept in Japan. So according to the Daily, it's been found that a set of precious Korean cultural assets have been kept at the Nara National Museum located over in Japan. If we take a look at the article closer, Lee Young-gae was a pro-Japanese businessman and art dealer collaborating with forces from Japan's colonial rule in Korea. And just yesterday, it was discovered that 109 of such art pieces that he had taken away with him to Japan at the time have been stored in the Japanese museum till this day. Now turning to JoongAngIlbo for a look at this headline here. It says U.S. Congress seeking to confirm fate of 9 North Korean defectors repatriated from Laos. Now, in the beginning of this month, I mentioned these 9 North Korean defectors who had been on their way to South Korea but were apprehended in Laos last year in May, and they were forcefully repatriated to North Korea. And this Daily earlier reported that 2 of them had been discovered to have been executed and 7 sent to prison camps. Now, the U.S. House of Representatives is planning to hold a press conference tomorrow condemning the North and pressing the country to publicly speak out on the whereabouts of these defectors, and it will also make an appeal to the United Nations regarding the issue. Finally, we'll turn to the Korea Economic Daily for the top headline here, and it's called Dark Ages for Company Executives. No place to go even for ex-Samsung officials. So what the article is saying is that former executives at big conglomerates are having a very difficult time getting employed again after retiring from these companies. Taking a look at these sub-headlines. In fact, there are 50% more such retired employees looking for new jobs this year compared to last year. And yet, companies that are looking for such talent from conglomerates have downsized their hires by less than half in contrast. And that was a look at our local headlines for this Tuesday. Now following are the stock numbers from Monday.
Well, it definitely feels like winter now, especially with the shorter daylight as well as the sun rising later than usual. And it seems that the temperatures have been very cold. We started the week off cold with the wind chill factor coming in too.
But I'm quite cold. I'm quite warm because I'm wearing my long johns.
Are you really? Under that dress?
All right, for a look at today's weather conditions, we'll go to Chun Sung-cho, who joins us outdoors. Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from Yangjaecheon Stream. Yes, it's still pretty dark outside right now. Last week was so cold that I feel like no one can really complain about this week, but temperatures still remain below the seasonal average. Currently, it's -4 degrees Celsius here in Seoul, so you better throw on a warm, thick jacket on your way out this morning. Today's weather will be mainly driven by a high-pressure system that's lingering over the East Sea, so we'll be able to enjoy clear skies all throughout the nation. But it's also making the conditions exceptionally dry in the east and in a couple of interior sections in Gyeonggi-do province as well as in Seoul. Dry weather warnings have been issued in the east coastal region, so people there should be extra cautious not to spark up any accidental fires. And with that, let's take a closer look at today's temperature readings. Compared to the freezing morning, the afternoon is looking relatively mild today. Midday highs range from 4 to 10, with Seoul being the coldest, and the southern regions, Busan and Jeju, being the warmest. Tomorrow evening, we have a lot of snow in the forecast nationwide again, and for the weekend as well. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to Min-jung.
Thank you, Sung-cho. Let's now get a check on our global headlines now with our Eunice Kim standing by for us at the News Center. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning.
Let's begin with an update on that story you brought us yesterday. The capital of India, New Delhi, has now banned car service Uber after one of its drivers was accused of rape.
That's right, Min-jung. For those who missed the story, police had arrested that driver on Sunday after a female passenger said he took her to a secluded place and raped her late Friday night. Protests appear to be growing as well against the car service Uber as the 32-year-old man appeared in court on Monday. Police said he had an arrest record for raping a woman 3 years ago, though he was later acquitted. New Delhi's Transport Commissioner Kuldeep Singh Gangar said he was blacklisting Uber for licensing the driver without a background check. Police had earlier said it was considering taking legal action against the private car sharing service. It is raising the stakes for Uber and its international ambitions, as India is Uber's largest market outside of the United States. CEO Travis Kalanick, in a statement, promised to do everything to help bring this perpetrator to justice and to support the victim in her recovery.
Meanwhile, let's check in with Beijing. The government there is preparing a case against a once powerful government official, its former security czar, who was recently disgraced on corruption charges.
Right, we are of course talking about Zhou Yongkang. He's also a retired member of China's elite political body, the Politburo Standing Committee, and also now the highest level official to be ousted for corruption since 1949, facing serious charges, including taking bribes, adultery, and leaking state secrets. Now, Beijing had announced late Friday that Zhou had been expelled from the Communist Party of China and arrested, and since then, a number of reports disgracing him has surfaced, including one out of Taiwan saying that he had some 30 mistresses and shared a bed with some 400 women, among them 2 high-profile CCTV anchors. The move comes as Chinese President Xi Jinping had publicly recommitted to his anti-graft crackdown ongoing since he came to power in late 2012, and law experts say if he is found guilty, the former security chief could get a suspended death sentence or jail for life.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you, Eunice.
You bet.
And still ahead on Korea Today, are you feeling burned out? Well, we don't blame you. In this hyper-competitive world that we live in today, more people are experiencing the so-called burnout syndrome, also known as a disease of modern society. It can bring about hopelessness and helplessness. And how do you rekindle your fire in life? We'll talk to a psychiatrist, so don't go away.
Sometimes the old come back as new, and sometimes the old come back again as the old. And we're going to be talking about some movies from the 90s and the early 2000s that are being re-released. And our Lee Myun-hee joins us with more on this. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you know some of these movies?
Right, so you'll have to wait a little bit to find out in my report. But nowadays, in this digital age, so many things are being what's called digitally remastered, whether it be albums or movies. And so a few digitally remastered cinema favorites have recently been re-released in theaters. Check out what movies are making their second premiere.
Set against the beautiful beaches of New Zealand, Ada is a mute piano player who has just been sold by her father to a new husband. She speaks through the piano and through sign language interpreted by her daughter. The Piano was a hugely successful film when it first debuted in 1993, and now over 20 years later, it's been remade into a digital version.
This movie shows what women truly want, seen through a piano. The rainy scene on the beach with the piano has so much heartbreak and inspiration.
Another movie recently re-released is The Lovers on the Bridge, a French film about 2 homeless people who fall in love in Paris. One is addicted to alcohol, and the other is losing her sight. But despite the hurdles, the 2 still manage to find romance in the city of love. One of the most successful Japanese movies of all time, Howl's Moving Castle is an Academy Award-nominated film that captivated the hearts of millions around the world, and is now another digitally remade movie to hit theaters this holiday season.
It's very interesting and stimulated the imagination once again. The characters were impressively reinterpreted.
'Tis the season for family and a time to enjoy the present as well as the past. These movies were beloved decades ago and are stirring up those same sentiments once again for families everywhere.
So we've seen a lot of these films back then, for example, making a black and white film into a color version, and also the screen ratio from 4:3 to 16:9, which is pretty much the standard these days, right? So when you're saying digitally remastered, what does it include? What does it involve?
So when they go and digitally remaster something, they're really enhancing the overall experience. They go and enhance either the visual aspect as well as the audio aspect too. And so this really changes the entire movie for many people. So it's a lot of work. They go through each screen by screen and touch it up, edit it, and really just enhance the quality of the entire production. So people have been saying, you know, when they go back and watch a movie that they once watched a long time ago and they watch it now after being digitally remastered, they said it's a whole different experience.
Okay, so we have the why, we have the what, now where's the where?
Where? So these movies are being released in theaters around the country at major theaters such as Megabox and Lotte Cinema, and so you can catch them around the country. But really, they're also releasing quite a few other movies as well, digitally remastered movies like Memento and Tess, another couple favorites from a few decades ago, and so you'll have to go check those out.
Okay. Well, as long as they don't come out with like a horrible remake of an original, right?
Oh.
Just re-release the original.
But we'll have to see about that.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, it is ski season. That's right, it is officially now winter and the ski season is up. Now, you don't have to go very far from Seoul, the capital, to see one of these ski resorts or get to your ski destinations. Always one of the hottest places to be in the winter is at these resorts, but they're not just your average place to ski or snowboard. Take a look at some destinations that are more accessible, off the wall, relaxing. Alex Segrist hits the slopes across the country.
Now, the name on everyone's lips right now is Cho Yeon-na, the vice president of Korean Air.
Right, but it's definitely not for a good reason. She is being heavily criticized for her action on a recent plane trip, and we'll find out more with our Seo Mi-sorang, who joins us right here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Definitely not the kind of limelight that you want to receive. So let's see what this issue is all about. This is Cho Yeon-na, as you mentioned. She's the vice president of Korean Air, as well as the eldest daughter of Korean Air chairman. Now, last Friday, Cho boarded a plane, an Incheon-bound plane from New York. Now, while the plane was being taxied for takeoff, a flight attendant handed her a packet of macadamia nuts. Now, this is where the trouble all began, because apparently, according to Korean Air Service Manual for First Class, you're supposed to first ask whether the passenger would like some nuts, and if they do, you're supposed to serve it in a bowl. The attendant did neither. Cho became angry and ordered the attendant to get off the plane, forcing the plane back to the passenger terminal and delaying things by a bit over 10 minutes. When news of this broke out yesterday, online users had plenty to say. What about the other passengers' wasted time? Yes, it is a problem that the flight attendant didn't follow the company manual, but Cho's action is by far the greater problem. And Cho may be the Korean Air heiress, but on board, she's still just a passenger. She shouldn't have told the cabin crew or the captain what to do.
It would have been a better idea if she took the appropriate steps after landing in Incheon rather than before the plane
actually took off.
Yeah, right. And apart from the moral aspects, I heard that there was some legal ramifications to it too.
Right, so late last night, Korean Air did issue a formal apology, but not before the Transport Ministry said they're going to look into this matter very seriously and very deeply to see whether any aviation safety laws have been breached. Now, staying with this plane issue, but on a positive note this time, boarding Australian-bound flights from Incheon Airport has just gotten simpler. So up until now, passengers boarding an Australian-bound plane had to go through a second security check at the boarding gate, mainly for liquids and explosives. But from now on, this last-minute check won't be necessary because the Australian government recently gave Incheon Airport exemption after inspecting it and being satisfied with the airport's high security standards. All in all, this means simpler boarding procedures for the 230,000 passengers who leave for Down Under every year, as well as time and energy saved for the airport.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Earlier this year, the second security check was cleared for U.S.-bound flights from Incheon as well.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. So in January, Incheon Airport received the exemption from the U.S. government as well, which makes Incheon the first airport in the world to have exemption for both U.S. and Australia-bound flights. Now, wrapping up, our beloved Tire Bus has got all dressed up for the Christmas season, and it's got red nose, antlers, bells.
Oh, it's got the whole package.
Wait for it. The eyes, they got switched to LED circle plates so that they can display 10 different emotions.
Wow.
So here it's like squinty and here it's open and so on.
It's winking. That is so adorable.
Kids will go crazy.
Exactly. So there are 26 Tire/Rudolph buses in total, and they'll be running for the next month or so until mid-January next year. So plenty of time.
So Rudolph the red-nosed Tire buses.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off with an award ceremony which took place on Monday afternoon with the Ilgu Baseball Awards. Now with the award winners chosen by the former coaches and managers in the KBO, the top prize didn't go to a professional player nor team, but the Korean Little League World Series team. Now with the Korean Little League World Series team winning their first title in 29 years, the team was awarded with the top prize in the annual award ceremony. The team's head coach Park Jung-wook expressed his gratitude and stated that they'll go after their second straight title next year. Meanwhile, the top hitter and pitcher awards went to Nexen Heroes slugger Seok Chang and Kia Tigers ace Yang Yeon-jung. And now shifting over to the 2014 World Cup Taekwondo Team Championship, which took place in Mexico. Now for Team Korea, it was the women's team that took the top podium spot after an impressive victory in the final. Now, after facing off against the African powerhouse in Cote d'Ivoire, the South Korean women's team took a slim 8-7 lead after the first round before breaking it wide open in the second and third round of the competition, beating Cote d'Ivoire 47-25 for the gold medal. Meanwhile, for the men's team, they settled with a bronze medal after losing to Russia 51-38 in the semifinals of the men's competition. And now over to the KLPGA, where the 2014 KLPGA Award ceremony took place on Monday afternoon. And that award ceremony was highlighted by Kim Hyo-joo, who took home 4 awards by the end of the day. Now, after an impressive 2014 KLPGA season, Kim Hyo-joo sweeps the award ceremony by taking the 2014 KLPGA Player of the Year honors, top money list, the lowest scoring average, and the most wins. Kim Hyo-joo made headlines this year when she won 3 majors in the domestic front and an LPGA major with the 2014 Avian Championship. And now moving over to football, where former Korean national football team head coach Hong Myung-bo returned to the country with his charity football media day taking place on Monday afternoon. And with this annual Share the Dream football match charity event set to take place on December 13th, the former national team head coach, along with other former national team members, held a media day to talk about the upcoming charity match and answer questions from the media. There, the 45-year-old stated that because of his failure at the 2014 Brazil World Cup, it was a tough decision to host the charity match this year, but added such event is still important. And when it came down to questions about his future, he stated nothing is set for sure and wanted to focus on the upcoming charity event for now. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
As the year comes to an end, more people are struggling with physical and emotional fatigue and stress.
It's cold these days, and it's even harder to get up in the morning because I'm tired.
I have a lot of work, so I've been working a lot of extra hours, and that really drains me.
I feel so tired that on the weekends, all I do is sleep.
According to a survey, more than 83% said they experience a sense of exhaustion at least once a week. And because of this, what's garnering a lot of interest these days is something called burnout syndrome. When you're burned out, it means you lack the energy you once used to have and feel exhausted and worn out, hindering your ability to work. Some of the symptoms involve exhaustion, helplessness, weight gain, and more. If not dealt with at the right time, it can lead to sleep disorders, depression, and deterioration of cognitive abilities. According to a study in Finland, chronic burnout syndrome can lead to a hike in the mortality rate. Physical and emotional burnout syndrome can lead to reduced satisfaction in life. We gotta look at what ways there are to deal with these symptoms.
We are nearing the end of the year. I'm sure many people are feeling burnt out, just physically and emotionally depleted, just ready to collapse. Well, I know I speak for both of you when I say this. We're joined by a doctor this morning, a psychiatrist by the name of Lee Yoon-ju from LPJ Mind Health Clinic. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Nice meeting you. Thank you for inviting me here.
Many people do feel like just collapsing and dropping to the ground, and this is associated with the burnout syndrome. And why are we hearing so much about this syndrome these days?
In modern times, we are just focusing on the product and we just appreciate the results. So we don't appreciate too much, in the process, and not much of the value of a human being. So we are focused too much, energy drainage to same things, monotonous work. So it gives a lot of burnout symptoms. And so it comes from job, but not primarily from job, but also comes from the homemaker, anybody who overwork but undervalued. How much I thank you for your work. So many people burn out because repetitively do same things like a machine. So we are not human beings. It looks like in a modern lifestyle, it gives us a lot of sense of burnout.
Okay, so it's like a road trip where you're not focusing on the journey, but the destination only. And I think you summed it up well when you said overworked and undervalued. Now, how do you know if you are burnt out? I mean, many people can have these symptoms, right?
It kind of more comes from your physical sense of exhaustion. So we have some three components of our syndrome. So first of all, exhaustion emotionally and physically, and also kind of attitude of being cynical, like kind of some sensitive, oversensitive, or like in relationships, that's not good feeling in relationships, and also some under productivity. You have no efficacy and not much efficiency in our work, in our job, in our relationships, and no motivation for like that.
So we have a little self-test thing to figure it out, right?
I just figured out the 7 items from 45 items from Psychology Today. So I cannot give you some self-test score at this moment, but I like to just look at this, the items.
Yes.
Right now you need to go to the doctor.
I'm burnt out.
Yes.
Help me, doctor.
You need to go to the doctor's office. Yes. So at the, for example, at the end of my working day, when you go to sleep and when you go have a bedside, and think about, I found myself feeling emotionally empty and drainage. I am nothing, looks like, I'm nothing like that. So it might be the one side of burnout. And my work is too physically, emotionally demanding. So high expectation and have overwork, like the, demanding. So we cannot say no to anything. So it is kind of one of the side effects of the burnout. And I no longer really care about doing my work well, because usually we need a passion, motivation, and goals for your work. And you got discouraged easily. So many people get, giving you some attack and the verbal, some sense of your appreciation, but you get, oh, nobody appreciating me, oh, nobody care about me, nobody,
we care
make
about
your
you.
time. Nobody cares. So it looks like, you can easily, oh, nobody care about me, so I'm nothing like that. And another one, I feel helpless and hopeless, because it's kind of a differentiation between stress and the burnout. The burnout is kind of more emotional drainage too, so hopeless and helplessness.
Right. But Dr. Lee, I have to cut you there. Most of those symptoms seem really similar to what we find in depression. So how is a burnout syndrome different from depression, and when do we have to see a doctor for professional counseling?
Depression is kind of clinical symptom and illness. You need to go to the doctor because our brain have low level of serotonin. But burnout is not a clinical symptom. It's kind of more syndrome. So sign, signal, you need to do something for yourself and for your body and for your mind. And it's kind of a roadmap. So you need drainage, emptiness. But depression looks like a low energy, but burnout is loss of hope. Goal looks like a more abstract thinking. So you need to think about yourself. If you have no interest, no motivation, no passion, I'm just like in a drainage, just to work. I have no I don't care whatever I can do. So it is burnout syndrome. But clinically, depression is so different. You need a medication like that.
Okay, so we looked at some of the symptoms, and now we're going to take a look at this next report for some of the treatment options for this burnout syndrome.
For people who are suspected of having burnout syndrome, a one-on-one consultation is first carried out to examine the person's actions and facial expressions. For a more detailed examination, there's an anxiety test and a cognitive test to get a closer look at conditions experienced in everyday life.
When conditions from burnout are extreme, enough so that they bring about an onset of physical conditions that can lead to depression, people need to receive medicinal treatment. But if it's not so bad, most adults receive counseling.
One of the leading treatments available is the Space Perception Program. Most burnout patients are so focused on one task only that their abilities related to space and perception deteriorate. To help with this, they are asked to draw pictures from various angles to help them regain that ability. In Korean medicine, there's a special clinic for office workers experiencing burnout syndrome. Here, the doctors check whether there's tension in the body around the shoulders, back, and muscles. Also, by feeling the patient's pulse, it can be determined whether the sympathetic nerve is agitated. Treatment to balance out the automatic nervous system is then carried out.
In Korean medicine, burnout refers to when all the yang energy in the body is used up for work and people lack that energy later. So treatment is about regaining balance between the yin and yang.
To help reduce tension in the muscles, medicinal acupuncture using safflower and herbal medicine is used. By applying acupuncture to the gyeoncheongyul pressure point, tension is released and the patient can feel more relaxed. Tuna treatment stimulates the sympathetic nerves around the spine and allows for better circulation. This creates more emotional stability for the patient.
What's most important during treatment is finding a good balance in your daily life. So people have to make the effort to find time to rest and relax.
So-called healing cafes, where people are said to see good results within a short span of time, are also gaining more popularity. This is a room for resting where all the walls are painted black without any lights. Visitors write down some of the factors contributing to their stress, stick it on the wall, and then lie down on a hammock to reflect on life.
Just lying down and relaxing gave me a sense of cleansing, and it felt like the stress built up was being released, so it was comforting.
Sitting in a dark place with nice lights on and just writing down some of the problems that I have gave me a sense of assurance and recovery.
This is an interesting cafe that uses salt to help people relax. The walls, floors, and the ceiling are all coated with bay salt. There's also a sprayer that emits tiny particles of bamboo salt, which helps people relieve stress thanks to the anions and minerals within salt. Most people who are working will likely encounter burnout syndrome as they continue on with their busy lives. That's why it's important to take out some time and enjoy a quiet moment for yourself.
Guys, I think we should check out one of those places.
Definitely,
in the future.
definitely.
And other than the professional methods that helps you with the burnout syndrome, what are some of the daily tips that we can use to overcome that feeling of burning out?
I like this program because it helps you some sympathetic nervous system is slow down, because in burnout syndrome and you have activating your sympathetic nervous system. So you have a heartbeat is rapidly and also short breath, and also have a sweat on your palm and your head and headache. And tension headache like muscle ache, like that. So kind of release can help you, but it's a part of the treatment, but I sense that it's kind of more integrative perspective is more important for handling the burnout. Like, physical therapy like that, but emotionally you need the ventilation, your emotion. So friendship is a good medicine. So just talking each other in the lunch time and take a break and not talking about work.
Peace be with you.
Good support, get help. Just kind of primary help is family relationship. It's good antidote of burnout. And also how to treat yourself and your co-workers like another competitors or some tension. Oh, she's not good for me like that. Not like that. It's making good support for each other. It gives you a lot of support for burning out syndrome in prevention, and also some social relationship. And you make release yourself and more creatively approaching to your work. Not just, oh, I need money, I need to work without, I can do nothing. Not like that. Right. So can more fascinated and meaningful way and more creatively meditating yourself in a quiet place and take a break before you get sleep and before you go to work and take a rest in your brain, in your mind.
Good.
Like
now,
that.
the way I deal with feeling a little burnt out is stuffing myself with chocolate or coffee, maybe.
What
are some of the foods that you can maybe eat to uplift that spirit?
It's just so unfair how some people have to pay for that stuffing and some people don't.
Sometimes the people using, alcohol and coffee, like a caffeine, and stimulating your body, shortly it might be helpful, but long time it's not helpful for your health. I like a lot of have some milk and some my tea or some kind of healthy food, and healthy lifestyle make more productive for yourself. So play yourself in a good way, because alcohol and coffee is not good for your health in long run. But shortly, it might be stimulating, like more energy up, but it's a short time, but it releases and for a while.
Something more
absolutely
soothing,
right.
like
yes,
milk. You said. So
yes, more healthy food, and then there's some vegetable, and always the fruits. Right, you might be
Thank you
very
so
helpful.
much, Dr. Ian Ju from LPJ.
Thank you.
Mind Health Clinic. Thank you
It's
so
a pleasure
much.
to be here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Now, when it's winter time, we have these sub-zero temperatures and, of course, snow to add on to that. What is the best place to go? What's your favorite?
Hot Springs.
Hot Springs. That's one option for you, right? But there's other options as well, especially if you like to get physical with the winter sports activities. And Alex Sechrist joins us this morning to tell us more on that. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again. And my favorite place to go, besides my bedroom, of course, is everyone's favorite, the ski resorts. So you got to go to the ski resorts in the winter, and there's some really cool stuff going on at the Korean ski resorts. So let's go ahead, get right to it, and check out what's going on there.
All right.
With nationwide snow last weekend, the official ski season kicked off across the country.
Wow, look at that.
And with the 2018 Winter Olympics coming up in the country, more people are showing greater interest in winter sports.
Shinji, you ski, right?
I
Or do you curl? You snowboard.
Yeah. Wow.
So we're gonna have to check out some of these awesome destinations.
For some reason, it's hard to imagine Shinju on that.
Why?
There are 17 ski resorts across the country. I didn't know that. And a lot of them are setting themselves apart with unique features and facilities. Now, usually to get to a ski resort, you need to drive or take the bus, but there's an extra convenient place you can get to on the subway.
Oh.
Okay, this is one of the it's an electric train that'll take you to that destination, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm on board, got my snowboard, hoping I'm going to the right place.
It looks like you've met some friends.
You are going to the right place.
Definitely seeing the equipment, seeing everyone ready.
So they have places where you can actually stash the boards and your equipment.
So we're leaving it around. The places are definitely big. See how long it takes us to get there. So it takes about 50 minutes from Yongsan Station to get to the Elysian Ski Resort, which is near Baekhyangli Station in
So it's not too bad.
Gangwon-do Province. It was
We
awesome.
got here in just over 1 hour, so it's a really short trip.
Oh yeah. So it's about a 5-minute walk from the station to the resort, but with the shuttle, 2 minutes.
그냥 교통카드 찍고 오면은 바로 올 수 있으니까. 네. 집에서 바로 1시간 정도면 오니까 진짜 좋은 것 같아요, 여기.
And that's why a lot of people from the cities come here. With the free shuttle and everything involved, it's a quick and easy trip.
Woo! Ready to hit the slopes. We made it here in just over an hour, and look at that. We can get on the slopes right now. So let's go ahead and hit it.
Coming down the slopes, having a good time, warming up a bit. It was a good time.
So Jinju, how does Alex fare in your snowboarding school?
I think he's great. It's a good run. It's amazing you can come here in an hour just by taking a train from Seoul.
I figured.
I mean, it's really great if you just want to take a quick hit, or you kind of want to, you're short on time, you got to get out there. So, we've done this place. Let's check out some other cool places that we can find in Korea, eh?
Now this next place, Korea's first and largest resort. It's got 28 slopes. The Yongpyeong Resort in Gangwon-do Province is available, and you really don't have to wait once you get there.
And that's in Pyeongchang, the site of the 2018 Winter Olympic Games.
And, here. After enjoying some fun in the cold, you take a relaxing dip in the spa jacuzzi.
Forget the skiing, eh?
You're in heaven right there.
Just get rid of all the tension, fatigue.
that feels so good. So refreshing. It's so warm. It's so cold outside, but this has been...
You can go snowboarding. You can
nice.
go in the spa.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna do that.
You can do this. This is the special sand bath. You got 12 herbs, medicinal roots. There was a lot. I can't remember them all. Angelica root, the Chinese magnolia, green tea, rosemary. That was awesome.
All the good things.
What does it smell like?
Dirt, I guess.
Dirt.
You get the hot stone massage, help relax the muscles. Oh. And the final touch, there's a sound color therapy that uses light and music. So you get to kind of create your own atmosphere here, enter a deep sleep. Some of the reasons why a lot of skiers enjoy coming here.
I came here with my family to go skiing, but my body is sore a little bit, so I came here to relax. Now I'm thinking it would have been great to bring the entire family here.
So we had the jacuzzi, followed by the soil therapy, and then the blackstone therapy, and now the color sound therapy, and I feel so lightweight, relaxed. Any pain from the snowboarding is gone. My body feels great right now.
And you made a friend.
So, I think that means I should probably go back on the slopes in a bit, eh?
I was as relaxed as I sounded. There's also a special lodging spot for skiers who enjoy night skiing, kind of like myself, in Oak Valley in Wonju, Gangwon-do Province. It's set out to be this eco resort. It's offering high-end camping cars and creating a unique hybrid experience between skiing and camping.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, especially when you find out how much these are. They fetch for over $60,000, fully equipped. LCD TVs, microwaves, showers, baths, everything you need. So camping and luxury and skiing.
So clean.
I'm not paying $60,000, right?
Unless you want to buy it. So more ski resorts these days are offering up better facilities and ways for visitors to have a, well, fuller experience. So it's definitely something to think about if you want a little something extra this winter when you're going to hit the slopes.
Oh,
Alex,
the hot spring.
The hot spring for you was the spa. For me, it was the dirt bath, right? But speaking of dirt, you know, the camping cars.
Yeah.
Which are on the dirt, right? I mean, that's pretty unique. Are there any other ski resorts with unique lodging spots?
Well, that one was pretty unique in itself, and there's a lot of different styles. If you want somewhat of a camping experience, but not for staying the night, you can actually go to the top of Vivaldi Park, and before you go down the slopes, they've got an outdoor barbecue area. So you can do like an outdoor barbecue camping style, get a salad bar. And then there's also Haiwon Resort. Now, this is not camping. This is we're talking about the really, really nice hotel with a great scenic view because you're 1,000 meters above sea level.
Wow.
You're in the mountains. There's condos in the mountain area. It was just an unbelievable view.
And I know there's special promotions going on at these ski resorts. Tell us about some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in Korea, we've got Christmas coming up, great for couples, and we have New Year's as well. And so with Vivaldi, they've got stuff for both of those days planned. They're going to have fireworks. They're going to have music. There's a special event on New Year's, something, I don't know exactly what it is, but something to do with a ski show and torches. So sounds dangerous, but fun. There's Phoenix Park, the Analog Music Festival. That sounds really cool. You've got bands coming in, and they're taking old songs and putting new twists on them. See if you recognize some of these bands. There was Crying Nut, the punk, and the other one was, trying to say it correctly, Gukastan, which is Gukastan, which is indie rock, right? And then there's Oak Valley, which actually you can, if you sign up, you can propose to your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you get this special proposal set up. You know, Christmas, you got that nice winter wonderland.
Wow. It seems like a lot of exciting things are going on in these ski resorts, but most important thing is safety. What are some of the safety facilities they have there?
Right, so I checked out a lot of the safety stuff, and really it just seems like they've covered all their bases. You've got Vivaldi, which has put up child safety stuff on all of the lifts. You got Haiwan, which has updated all their electronic safety sensors. They've put on like 5,000 or 6,000 of the soft cushiony stuff that helps you not hit trees full on. Elysian Resort that you saw in the first one, they have this helper system where you can actually take care of anything you need. You just find someone and they help you out.
It looks like they have their bases covered.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for covering those ski resorts for us.
Of course.
All right, well, that just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
And it's Tuesday. Enjoy this day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.